Hi, I'm Judy Litt. Today we're doing a yin yoga practice to concentrate on our crown chakra. Now this is a deep dive into the crown chakra. It's just a little introduction to it. And this finishes our journey up through the chakras. And I will link up the other ones or link to the playlist with the other videos about the chakras below in the description. For this practice, I suggest one bolster, one block, and you're going to need a couple of blankets potentially. Some of us are going to do shoulder stand at the wall. And we need to be very protective of our neck and of our back. So it looks like a blanket folded about like this, and you'll probably need at least two, maybe three. Um, so I'm going to put that off to the side. We don't need it right now. We don't need our bolster to start. And we don't need our block to start. Although, just go ahead and close your eyes and begin to notice your breath. Our crown chakra is all about our connection to divine, whatever that means to you. It is about wisdom, and it is about equanimity, finding balance, finding calm. And go ahead and open your eyes. If you're seated, go ahead and come up to a tabletop position, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, curl your toes under, and begin to press yourself up. And then go ahead and walk your feet towards your hands and bend your knees a lot. This is our first pose, pointing your head towards your mat. You can grasp your elbows if you'd like, and just let your arms dangle. And I also forgot journal in our props. I keep forgetting that. So today we're going to be doing a lot of energizing poses. Yin yoga doesn't seem like an energizing practice, but it can be. We're doing a lot of back bends, and those are very energizing. We are also opening up our shoulders and our chest, which is something almost everybody needs these days. And we're either going to be doing legs up the wall, which is a nice restorative pose and can be inversion, and I'll show you how when we get there, or we're going to do shoulder stand at the wall. Shoulder stand is definitely an inversion. If you are pregnant, possibly if you're menstruating, if you have high blood pressure or anxiety, or if you have eye problems like a detached retina or glaucoma, do not try shoulder stand. And I will try to remember to say that again when we get there. So the color for the crown chakra is often seen as violet. Some say that it's white, and some say that it's gold. But most often you're going to see it as violet. My question for you here, and this is why you need a journal for after this practice, what are your limiting beliefs? Whatever they are, go ahead and just let them pour out of your head, onto the mat, down into the earth, or eventually they're just going to hit that molten core of the earth and burn up. We all have beliefs that limit us, that don't serve us. They may be things that were instilled in us very young. They may have come from our parents. It could be from relationships. We all have them. A couple more breaths here. Take the palms of your hands to the mat. Really spread your fingers wide and walk your feet back. You're in a kind of upside down triangle position. Press into your index fingers and your thumbs to take the pressure out of your wrists. Notice what your feet are doing. Are they pointing straight ahead? And pull your core in as your hips yearn up towards the ceiling. And then go ahead and soften your knees to your mat. Come on down to your elbows and stretch your legs straight out behind you. And then bring your head all the way down to your mat. And take your hands right to the crown of your head, our crown chakra. And ask yourself, where do I feel connected to divine? And you should set an intention for your practice. And that could be connection to divine. And that could be really simply, I want to feel energized, or I feel energized. It's always better to put an intention or an affirmation in present tense. And it could really simply be, I want to open up my chest and my shoulders, and we're going to do that. And this is Crocodile Pose. And throughout this practice, I really want you to think about the crown of your head. Put your attention there. Notice what comes up for you, what thoughts, what emotions. Maybe you get a message from the universe. You never know. In yoga, we breathe in and out through our nose unless you're instructed otherwise. And just let that breath be calming. Even though the aim of this practice is energizing, and therefore I don't suggest that you practice this at night, it is also calming. And I want you also, as we move through this practice, in addition to taking your attention to the crown of your head, notice your length in your spine. See if you can do anything to straighten out, to grow a little bit. Last couple of breaths here. Our chakras live, quote unquote, along the spine, although they're more inside than outside. And our spine is connected to our central nervous system. It regulates communication between our brain and our body. Go ahead and take your hands by your shoulders and just come on up. Take your right hand and stretch it straight out. I am a little limited by the space here. And bend your left leg up. Bring your left palm by your shoulder. You also have the option to just bend your legs, and I'll show that in a minute. And then lift that leg up and over the right leg. And if this is too much for you, just go ahead and bend those knees and be in a fetal position. Otherwise, stretch that leg over. It's a really nice shoulder stretch. If you feel pain, obviously you've gone too far and you need to back out of it, or maybe just take the modification with your knees bent. Let me move these blocks out of the way. You see what I'm doing. You're really going to be using these arms later in this practice, potentially. So we want to, quote unquote, warm them up, even though in yin yoga we don't want warm muscles. Because when the muscles are warm, we have a tendency to stretch too far, and that's not what we want. That's where injuries happen. And gently and slowly begin to take that left leg over the right, rolling back to your stomach. And this time, we're going to stretch out our left arm. You can see what's going on there this time. We're going to bend up the right leg, take our right hand by our right shoulder, push into those hands and bring your right leg up and over the left, or bend your knees. Second side. And I want you to ask yourself now, where do I feel connected to the divine? Maybe that's out in nature. Maybe that's a spot somewhere in your house. Maybe it's when you're with your family. There's so many ways to be connected. Just want you to think about where you feel connected to something larger than yourself. Last couple of breaths. Where are you connected to the divine? Really slowly and easily take that top leg. Begin to bring it over the left leg, coming back to your stomach. Come on up to your forearms. And then push yourself up into a tabletop position. Then bringing your legs out to the side. Bend your right leg. Bring the shin parallel to the short end of your mat. And then bend your left leg. Bring it on top of the right. This is square pose. If this is too much for you, you can simply take one leg out straight and bring the right leg on top, half square. You can take easy seat, whatever works in your body. It's a really nice hip opener. And your question here is, do I trust that there is a plan for me? And I want you to take your right hand to the floor, take your left hand out, and then inhale your arm up, bringing it over towards your right ear, and then bringing your left ear towards your left shoulder. And stretching out our neck a little bit. If you choose to do shoulder stand at the wall, we want to make sure our neck is prepared for it. So, signs of a deficient crown chakra. And that can be skeptical of spirituality. It might be learning difficulties. It could be feeling apathy. Go ahead, inhale, and if it feels good to your neck, bring it in towards the left shoulder. Hand comes behind your head. Just getting more of an opening across the opposite side of your neck. Exhale, let your left hand come down, and then just do a very gentle head roll, taking it to one side, down through the center, the other side, down through the center again, the other side, down through the center, bringing your head back up. And this time, take your left hand out, inhale your right arm up and over and grabbing your left ear and gently pulling away so that your right ear comes towards your right shoulder. And signs of an excess, of a crown chakra in excess. You feel a need to constantly be learning, but you never take the time to integrate the wisdom that you gain. I resonate with that one. I'm not saying I never take the time. Obviously I do. But I do have a thirst for knowledge, and I want to learn all the things. And it's a good thing, and it can be a bad thing too. You are constantly in your head. You feel disconnected from people, from a divine spirit. Go ahead and turn your head towards that right shoulder, taking the hand behind the head, cradling the back of the head, and getting a nice stretch down your neck. And even if you're not going to attempt the shoulder stand at the wall, it's all a nice neck release. Inhale, take that hand to the ear, gently bring the head back through center, and if you'd like, do a few gentle half head rolls again. Really noticing how that neck feels. They're different from when we began the practice, and maybe there isn't. Coming back up through center, and switch legs so that your left leg is underneath and your right leg is on top if you're choosing to do square or half square, or continue to sit in easy pose. And if you are sitting in easy pose, change the cross of your legs. And I'd like you to inhale, take your hands behind at the hairline of your neck, of your head, and really kind of arch that spine just a little bit. Draw those elbows back. Do I trust that there is a plan for me? Exhale, let the hands go. Inhale. You can take them to reverse prayer so that you're pressing into prayer pose behind your back. If that is not comfortable for you, just go ahead and grab your elbows. And again, just trying to open up through the collarbones, open up that chest. Last couple of breaths. Exhale, let your arms go, let your legs go. Maybe windshield wiper your legs a little bit, release those hips, let your knees fall from side to side. Try not to hit the wall. And go ahead and grab your block and make sure you have your blankets close by. Take the soles of your feet to your mat. Come on down to your elbows. And then come all the way down, grab that block. Depending on the height of your block, you might want it on the highest height. For me, with this block, that's a little too much. Walk your legs, your feet a little closer to your glutes. You might have it on the middle height, like this. That's what I'm choosing. You want it on the lowest height, you do you. So really press into the soles of your feet, into your heels, and begin to lift your hips straight up towards the ceiling. Take that block, and whichever height you're using it on, place it under the sacrum. And our question for supported bridge is, when do you feel connected to the divine? Think about your neck in this pose. You may need to dip your chin just a little bit into your chest so you're not straining that neck. And I mentioned earlier in yoga, in any type of yoga, I am sure you have heard yoga teachers talking about lengthening your spine often. When we have a nice straight spine, it helps with the alignment of all the chakras. It's obviously not the only reason we emphasize lengthen our spine. Another reason is it helps you to breathe. Breathing is very important in yoga. If we're not paying attention to our breath, we're stretching. We're not practicing yoga. Really let your body relax here. We are almost coming into the shape of a supported shoulder stand here without bending our neck. And you'll see what I'm talking about later. When do you feel connected to the divine? Is it when you're performing certain rituals? Is it at certain times of the day? There are no right or wrong answers. Last couple of breaths. Last breath. Reconnect to your feet. Push into those heels to lift those hips and remove that block. Keep it near. You may want it. Not quite yet. So scoot yourself over to a wall if you have one. If you don't, just go ahead and bring your legs up, both legs up on your mat. And that works just fine. And you can do that if you don't want to do legs up the wall. But if you are doing legs up the wall, scoot yourself over so your hip is touching the wall, and then just kind of turn yourself and bring those legs up the wall. Just like that. This is a pose I practice if I've had hard workouts in the day. I will do this. If I do nothing else, I will do this before I go to sleep at night. It is very calming. Legs up the wall. This is also great if you've been traveling. And it's a very accessible pose for most everyone. Like I said, you don't have to put your legs up the wall. You can just be on your mat, legs going straight up to the ceiling. I want you to, actually no, we're going to go ahead and bring our feet down the wall and then gently roll over to one side because I need to demo. If you choose to do a supported shoulder stand, as I said in the beginning, there are contraindications for doing shoulder stand, and that's if you're pregnant, excuse me, potentially if you're menstruating, if you have eye problems like glaucoma or detached retina, if you have high blood pressure, if you have anxiety, then legs up the wall is fine, but don't take it further. Now, one of the things you can do if you want to try a gentle inversion, we can go back to legs up the wall or legs up towards the ceiling on the mat. Grab your block, place it under your sacrum, and just that raises your heart above your head for a very small inversion. And inversions are both energizing and calming and balancing to our body. And that's legs up the wall with the block under your sacrum. That's one of the most accessible ones there is. Actually, down dog is an inversion as well. Now, if you choose to do shoulder stand at the wall, I'm not going into full shoulder stand, you need a blanket folded like this, at least 2 of them, maybe 3 of them. And I've got this, it's a little difficult. You have to play with it once you get into the pose to find the right position for you. So basically, you're going to want your shoulders on the blankets, shoulders and your torso, but you want your head hanging a little bit off of it. And I have a third mat. You can't see it in the video, but I have a third mat that is perpendicular to these 2 mats so that there's a little cushion behind my neck because I tried it without that and it was not good. So, like I said, you're going to have to play with the placement of your blankets a little bit. And you're going to start much like you did in legs up the wall with your hip all the way to the wall. And you are going to swing your legs up just like you did. And bring your butt as close to the wall as you can. And so I need to either bring my blankets closer. Sorry. I have to demo this because once you get into it, you do not want to turn your neck. You can't turn it to look at me. So My shoulders and my upper back are on these blankets. My head is laying off the blankets but supported by another mat. Take your hands and bend those forearms up so your hands are pointing towards the ceiling. And begin to really push into your upper arms. And then engage your core. Begin to lift your hips up. Soles of the feet come to the wall. Your hands come behind your low back. And that's it. You are in a shoulder stand at the wall. And if you have shoulder stand already in your practice, you can always play with bringing your feet away from the wall. And then when you come back down, very slowly, let your hips come down, let your legs come down, and then roll over to one side. So it is now your choice. You can do legs up the wall. You can grab a block, put it underneath your sacrum, lift your hips when your legs are up the wall, and put it under your sacrum. Or you can join me and practice shoulder stand at the wall. So I'm going to give you just a second to get into position because it takes a little figuring out, as you could tell from this video. So your shoulders and your upper back should be on your blankets. Raise a little bit so they're very supported. Your head comes down to a mat. Don't take it to, if you have carpeting, then you can just have it on the carpeting. If you have a hard floor, please have another mat. And you can also just turn your mat so that it is perpendicular to the wall. I needed to have it both ways for the rest of the practice. Okay, hopefully by now you are in position. You've brought your hips to the wall. You have swung your legs up the wall. You are bending those elbows. Most of the weight should be on your upper arms, not on your neck. Very important. So really push into those upper arms. Engage your core as you lift your hips and possibly have to walk your feet up the wall and take those hands behind your low back. Finding where it's right for you. And once again, pressing into those upper arms, pushing those blankets away. And we're not staying here long. I'm a little too far away from the wall. Hopefully you're closer. It's not going to hurt. It won't hurt anything. Last couple of breaths. And then gently, gently, gently begin to let your hips come back down towards your mat or blankets. Feet come down the wall. Let your legs fall down towards your mat. And there you go. Shoulder stand at the wall. Shoulder stand is a great pose to practice. I can't see what you're doing, so I can't make suggestions. I can't make sure that you're safe. But doing it at the wall is a fairly safe version of shoulder stand. And hopefully you enjoyed that if you chose to try it. And now, you no longer need your blocks. You don't need your blankets. You can set that aside. If you do have a bolster, go ahead and grab that now. And take your legs out in front of you and come on down to the bolster. Your low back should be a little bit away from the bolster. We're trying to open up our chest for supported fish pose. Now, if you don't have a bolster, you can also just come on down to your elbows and let your head hang back if that's comfortable for you. That is an option. Really just let your body relax here. A little counter pose to that shoulder stand. I'm thinking about, do my beliefs help me to grow? And maybe you let your feet fall out to the side. Taking your attention once again to the crown of your head. Noticing what your spine is doing. Can you wiggle in the beginning of this pose to make it a little bit longer? Opening up through our chest, our shoulders, our collarbones. Are my beliefs helping me to grow? Or do I maybe need to let some of them go? The chakras are all about managing our energy. I don't know about you, but I know I could almost always use some more energy. Everybody's different, of course. And there are some people who need to calm down more than energize. Neither extreme is good. We're always seeking to find balance. But balance is never, it's a moving target. So these are things we need to think about and work on a daily basis. And if you'd like, I invite you to take the soles of your feet together and let those knees fall towards your mat. If that feels uncomfortable, you can always grab a couple of blocks and put a block under each knee, or just stay in supported fish. Either is fine. And this is supported fish with butterfly pose. It's a nice chest opening, hip opening, front body opening pose. Very energizing. Even though it probably feels, again, like the inversion. This probably feels really good, but maybe it doesn't. But for a lot of people, this feels good. It feels relaxing. And yet, working on our subtle energies, it's also energizing. Notice how you feel at the crown of your head. Last couple of breaths. And then gently turn your palms to the floor. Take them underneath your knees and gently bring them back together if you've taken that option. And go ahead and roll onto one side, gently, coming up. You might want to keep that bolster, or you can come into child's pose on your mat if you're using the bolster. I'm going to suggest that you basically straddle it, take your knees out as wide as is comfortable for you, and have the bolster underneath your body. Press the palms of your hands together, let your head fall down towards the mat. And then inhale, take the palms of your hand in prayer behind your head, stretching out those upper arms that we really worked. You may not seem that we did, but we did. And once again, I invite you to think about, what are you seeking when you meditate, if you have a meditation practice? And the perfect time to do meditation is after you have finished your yoga practice. And you probably noticed that once you've finished, you feel a lot calmer than once you started, even if it's been energizing, even if it's something like power yoga. You just feel good, and you've released all that excess energy, and you are ready to sit and notice your thoughts. Really let your head hang down here. Again, letting that cervical spine decompress. Last couple of breaths here. Go ahead and let that hand position go. And begin to walk your body back up. Remove the bolster. We are moving into our final pose, Savasana. Please don't move on without practicing Savasana. That will help integrate this entire practice. And I would invite you here, especially since some of us have really worked our neck. What can feel really nice is to take one of those blankets and then just roll it up in a little roll. Go ahead and face the short end of your mat. Place that about where your neck's going to go. And begin to come down to your elbows. Placing that roll just right under your neck. Take one leg, stretch it long on your mat, and then the other. Letting the feet fall open if that feels good for you. Your arms a little bit away from your body, palms up. Begin to close down your eyes or gaze at the tip of your nose with the eyes just slightly open. Notice anywhere in your body where you're holding on to some tension. And stay laying like this until I tell you it's time to get up. Begin to do a body scan, starting at your crown chakra, top of your head, and just begin to notice how that feels. On your own time, come down to the space between your eyebrows. Notice how that feels. Come down to your throat area. How's that feeling? We spent a fair amount of time stretching out your neck today. Bring your attention to the center of your chest. Notice how that feels. Then down to your solar plexus, a little bit above your navel. Notice how that feels. Down to your sacral area, a little bit below the navel and the hips. How does that feel? And finally, your legs, your feet. How does that feel? Notice anywhere where maybe you feel a little blocked. Maybe you feel like things are not flowing so much. Just notice, no judgment. Just become aware. Continue lying with your eyes closed or partially closed. Maybe noticing how your energy feels. Maybe taking your attention to your breath. Maybe noticing how you feel now as opposed to how you felt when you got on your mat. Maybe bringing your attention back to your intention for this practice. And keeping your eyes closed, just relaxing, I'd like to read you a poem from Dana Faulds, Faulds, Not Donna, but I'm not quite sure how she pronounces her name. It's from a book called Poems from the Heart of Yoga. And this one is entitled, Who You Are. Who you are is so much more than what you do. The essence, shining through heart, soul, and center, the bare and bold truth of you does not lie in your to-do list. You are not just at the surface of your skin, not just the impulse to arrange the muscles of your face into a smile or a frown, not just boundless energy or bone-wearing fatigue. Delve deeper. You are divinity, the vast and open sky of spirit. It's the light of God, the ember at your core, the passion and the presence, the timeless, deathless essence of you that reaches out and touches me. Who you are transcends fear and turns suffering into liberation. Who you are is love. And that is the message of our crown chakra, summed up really nicely. It is all about connecting to our spirit, connecting to a spirit larger than ourselves. Now I'd like you to take your attention back to your breath, slowly deepening it. Now begin to take little movements with your fingers and your toes, just gently wriggling them, slowly waking up your body. Making those movements a little bigger now. Maybe rotating your wrists and your ankles in one direction. And then in the other direction. So now stretch your arms up overhead and your feet away from your arms, taking a really big stretch through your whole body, maybe wriggling the hips a little bit, noticing if you can get more length into your spine, and then draw one knee into your chest, and then the other, rolling over into a fetal position, cradling your head on your arm, taking a few deep breaths there. Beginning to make that transition from that deep relaxation and integration of Savasana into the rest of our day, keeping the eyes closed or mostly shut. And then begin to gently take your hands to your mat, still keeping your eyes closed or mostly shut. Begin to press yourself up slowly, coming up into an easy seated position. Take the palms of your hands together at heart center, really pressing left palm into right palm. Once again, integrating both sides of us, the masculine, the feminine, the logical and analytical, the nurturing and intuitive, bringing them together at your heart center. Begin to rub your hands together, bringing a little heat back into your body. And then bring your palms together, stillness at your heart center. Gently bow your head over your hands, blinking your eyes open, taking in your mat, and slowly raising your head, maybe a smile on your face. I hope you enjoyed today's crown chakra practice. Whichever modification, whichever pose you took, it's the right pose for your body. Never doubt that. And you can, if you've stumbled across this particular video and you haven't checked out the rest of the chakra videos, as I said, I will have a playlist come up on the screen here soon. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. Help us keep free yoga available to everybody. And if you enjoyed this video and want to know when new ones are added to this channel, go ahead and click on subscribe. And finally, if you're interested in connecting with other people who have similar interests, you can go ahead and check out the private Facebook group that's in the description below. And remember, every day, go inside yourself and find the peace, calm, the bliss that is always waiting for you. Namaste. And now, if you have the time, I invite you to go ahead and grab your journal. I'm going to quickly run through the questions one last time. You can write them down, and then you can spend a little time journaling on these questions, maybe just on the crown chakra in general, or maybe just whatever has bubbled up for you through this practice, or even jot down notes about what felt good and what didn't feel good. Okay. So, today we're talking about the crown chakra, and the questions are, what are your limiting beliefs? When do I feel connected to the divine? Where do I feel connected to the divine? How do I nurture my divine body? Do I trust that there is a plan for me? Do my beliefs help me grow? And if not, which beliefs do I need to let go? Where do I focus my thoughts? What do I focus my thoughts on? And what do I seek in meditation? Thank you again for joining me for this crown chakra yin yoga practice.